Post-war Germany. During the Weimar Period, 1918 to 1933, the German economy was in big trouble. However, the film industry was still very strong and controlled by the government, which ran a giant studio known as Universum Film-Aktien Gesellschaft. They started making films that would help encourage and entertain the public. Immediately after World War I, Germany's most popular films were nostalgic costume dramas, known as Kostum Film. The purpose of these films was to celebrate traditional German culture, but some independent studios, which were not controlled by the government, had a different approach. They did not want to look to the past and celebrate traditions. Instead, they created a new style of cinema called German Expressionism. Early German Expressionism. In 1920, the production company Decla released The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, which many think is the beginning of German Expressionism. German Expressionism looked at the troubles many people in Germany were facing. These films were not realistic, but looked at these problems in an abstract way, using tilted angles, uneven and twisted sets, exaggerated makeup and costumes, as well as lighting designed to have deep shadows cut across the sets. These films didn't want to look real, but instead they wanted to create a mood. The mise-en-scene, or how the scenes look and feel, wanted to show the audience a strange world. A world that many think represented the trouble felt by millions of people in Germany. The imagery used in the film is still very striking to this day. The narratives of German Expressionism films were also extremely complicated, and audiences had to watch the films very carefully. Dr. Caligari, for example, has an ending that is very unclear, and audiences may have had many questions. Was any of the story real, or just one person's strange imagination? Other films, like Metropolis, explored complicated themes such as modernity, the class system, social unrest, and revolutions. Nosferatu was a terrifying version of Bram Stoker's Dracula, and it is still very scary and popular with modern horror fans. A lasting influence. German Expressionism was a relatively short-lived movement, but its influence is still seen in modern cinema today. One person who was very important to German Expressionism was the producer Erich Pommer, who worked as head of production for many of the influential films being made in Germany during this time, including 2 of the 3 films mentioned above, Metropolis and Dr. Caligari. He would later work with Monroe on The Last Laugh, Tortov, and Faust. He also produced films by many other influential directors, including Carl Theodor Dreyer, Ewald Andre, Arthur Robinson, and Joseph von Sternberg.